The next project, Veha, is also a landscape project. It is one, however, that's based on the design of landscapes, not for human use and occupation, but perhaps even the exclusion of human use and occupation from them. It's a project that makes extensive use of the cartographic rhetorics of maps as a way to decide and design and to represent the qualities and agents within a landscape, but also one that makes equal use of the legal ideation, legal definition, and legal proposition for what it is that constitutes this landscape. And between the two is where the leverage of the project really sits. In the nomination of a new legal form for certain kinds of landscapes, new maps can represent this. It's also one that is, in the most sort of direct sense, about parks and the function of a park, and looks at the park as a kind of artificial geoengineering in the expanded sense of the program of geoengineering as a scale-up design effect, and as a strategy of self-enclosure, deliberate self-enclosure that has proven to be quite effective, and so perhaps needs to be amplified within the plan of a larger planetary scale territorial design. Now, it's true that the particular history of parks and sort of their origin parallels the maturation of certain kinds of nature versus culture dichotomies that we're quite suspicious of, and this demarcation of borders of inside and outside, of here the culture, there the nature, and the alibis of an outside and externalization have proven extremely problematic. However, we feel that the artificiality of this demarcation, understood as through different kinds of technologies of zoning, is one that has still has tremendous efficacy for us. Enclosure and exclusion as a territorial zoning structure, not just of different kinds of humans, but of different kinds of inhabited and uninhabited zones. May prove to be not just about the preservation of the pastoral, but the survival and continuance of viable ecosystems themselves, including our own. At a larger scale, then, this typology of exclusion is one that has resonance with E.O. Wilson's half-Earth hypothesis or provocation, which we've discussed in this program several times, which is based on the argument for the concentration of human industry into denser megacities and the set aside of up to half of the Earth for remediation, wilding, and recovery. And so, in this sense, we can see the project of Veha as an examination of what Russia might be able to contribute to that initiative. It would be one in which the planet as we know it would survive because half of it is a park, while half of it is this dense amalgamation of human and machinic entanglements, both of which are equally artificial. And they are so because we recognize that not only do parks encompass cities, but cities encompass the parks. It's one in which this dynamic, which has come up a few times in discussion with active and passive forms of geotechnology, are brought to bear. In this sense, the strategy of landscape design as a kind of passive geotechnology is paramount. It's also a project that once again deals with this typology, as mentioned, of the corridor as a territorial typology. A corridor is a kind of space that extends between and yet connects. It extends, however, it scales larger than the site. It's not just a link between two sites, but in fact moves between these and creates zones of both function and possibility that would be otherwise impossible. We were discussing it may be relevant to think of a project like this as part of a kind of active retreat. But if so, it's one that remains resolutely idealist, an idealist form of retreat. But as said, it's one that is most legible through the way in which the maps are employing and demanding a different kind of legal vision, and the legal structure, a different kind of cartography, a different kind of geography, a different zoning, a different mode of habitation. So with that, I'll introduce Veha.
Hello, I'm Ani. I'm a designer based in India.
Hello, my name is Mila. I'm an architect from Russia, Moscow.
Hi, I'm Tatiana. I'm also an architect and landscape architect, also based in Moscow. And the project we're going to introduce to you today is very much linked to terraforming, both to terra and forming. But we try to rethink it, what this term forming can mean, and if we can use language of natural process to form the land just by letting it evolve. So hope you enjoy it.